chapter 18. At the same time came the disciples unto Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus called the little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them, and said, Verily I say to you, except you be converted, and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. It's just like people to always think in degrees of who's great and who's least, who's first, who's second, who's third, who's last. When we were facing a baseball season in which the playoffs, and we're looking at number 1, number 2, number 3. Who's the greatest down to who's the least. And the disciples came to Christ and said, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus, he took a little kid, and he said, Except you be converted, become as a little child, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. So he says, Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. God does not think in the same terms that men think. He doesn't want great, how do I put this? God is not trying to get us built up as though we're some kind of a Billy Graham or a Moses or even the apostles. He wants us to be men and women who are moms and dads and brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews and cousins who love Jesus. And if you love Jesus, then you're going to be exercising what? Faith. Faith is a little child. A little child has faith to believe that their mom and dad are going to take care of them. Which is what's grievous when people and kids like Nick and Bailey and others like them have to endure parents who are having hard times, sometimes self-inflicted hard times. Because children have faith that their moms and pops, their grandparents are going to take care of them. And when that doesn't happen, it's a massive failure, it's an epic failure in parenting. But people, for whatever reason, they think in terms of what's great and what's not. And God says to His Son Jesus Christ, Except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. We must accept by faith that God loves us, and He gave His only begotten Son, and He did that on the cross. And the same faith that it takes for salvation is the same faith that it takes to live one day at a time for Jesus. And that's just not a song. That's a lifestyle. That's a precept. Living one day at a time for Jesus.